Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry I was late signing in. There was some kind of glitch on my computer.
Commissioner Lee, we're going to come back to you right after this, so we'll call the question, is anyone opposed to adoption of the public agenda? Seeing none, moving back up to section C, the election, or section D, I should say, the election of the vice chair. Commissioner Lee, you have been, it has been moved and seconded for you to be the vice chair. Should you accept?
Sure, I would. Thank you.
Thank you.
Whoever nominated me.
That was Commissioner Gunnerud and seconded in unison from Commissioner Kerr and Evans.
Thank you.
Is there any further nominations for vice chair? For a second time, any further nominations? For a third and final time? Hearing none. Thank you, Commissioner Lee. You are now the vice chair for another year, and I appreciate your support.
Thank you.
Moving on to F, we have no delegations. Is that correct, Mr. Yates?
That is correct.
Okay. On section D, adoption of the minutes of the November 3rd, 2021 Strathcona Gardens Commission meeting.
Move adoption. Second.
Thank you. Moved by Commissioner Lee, seconded by Commissioner Grunnerud. Any discussion? Anyone opposed? That is carried. And move adoption of the special meeting of the Strathcona Gardens Commission held on December 10th of 2021.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Kerr and Commissioner Gunnerud. And then moving on to business arising. Is there any business arising from the commissioners? Not hearing any. We will move to the chair's report. And I just want to make a couple of comments. And one is just to thank Mr. Leach and Mr. Gage and Mr. Kentrop for the work that they have done over the past couple of months under very trying circumstances, and appreciate the advice and recommendations they have provided not only to the commission but to the community. So thank you on behalf of the commission. And I will also say that there have been a number of media requests and also social media requests from the commission. Some commissioners have been receiving it directly. Some have been, some of it has been forwarded to myself as the chair, some to Mr. Leach and Ms. Gage. And I would just ask that should commissioners be getting correspondence or requests, the most recent one was from the Raven FM radio station this morning, is to refer those to Mr. Leach and Ms. Gage and copy the rest of the members of the commission so we're all in the same loop and all getting the same information as to what the responses are. So that is my report. In a motion for receipt.
Move receipt. So moved. Second.
And any discussion or questions from members of the commission? Hearing none, call, is anyone opposed to receipt? That is carried. Moving on to section J, item 1, arena lighting for receipt of the report.
Move receipt of report.
Second.
And Mr. Kentrop, do you have anything further to add to the report?
Just I could answer some, or thank you through the CAO, through the chair, and to the commissioners. I can answer any questions if you have reviewed the document. If you have any further questions, I can field those.
And just to add a couple things onto that, Mr. Chair, if I may, the reason this is coming to you is, one, it exceeds our procurement threshold of $100,000, and second, our recommendation is it not go to the lowest bid.
Okay. Any questions from commissioners? On receipt, is anyone opposed? Hearing none, that is received, and there is a recommendation for approval.
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Thank you. And Commissioner Lee, seconded by Commissioner Evans. Any discussion? Again, my thanks to staff for being proactive in a challenging time to continue with the infrastructure upgrades of the facility. So well done. Anyone opposed? That is carried. Section J2, mandatory helmet requirements. Motion to receive, please.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Gunnerud, seconded by Commissioner Evans. And any discussion on receipt? Anyone opposed? That is carried. And approval of the recommendation.
Move the recommendation.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion?
I would just like to comment that I'm surprised it's taken this long for such a policy to be put in place. I know it's been in other facilities for years, so I'm glad it's come to this.
Thank you. Mr. Kendrup, just a question for me, sort of following up on Commissioner Gunnerud. Is this consistent with other island facilities as to it's been implemented?
It is consistent with other facilities. And then just from the last meeting where we discussed it, there were some just some clarifications regarding the user groups, but they are governed by their provincial and federal governing bodies as far as how they approach helmets on the ice and that. This is separate. This is for our user groups, our programs. So public skating, learn to skate, that sort of thing. So, but it is sort of, it's becoming more and more standard with all facilities.
And Mr. Kendrup, are you anticipating any backlash or difficulty with this?
No, we're not. We're seeing when people come to public skate, they already are bringing their own helmets already.
Excellent. Okay. Anything further from the commission? Commissioner Lee?
Yes, I have one issue. I did mention at the last meeting that lacrosse needed to also have helmets. I know my youngest son was a goalie for lacrosse, and I forked out $500 for a helmet for him before his first game. And the first thing that happened after he got his helmet was he got hit in the head with a sub shot. And, you know, it could have killed him if he had a modified hockey helmet on. Like, they should have regulation helmets for lacrosse also applied, because it's a very dangerous, it can be a very dangerous game if you get hit by a lacrosse ball.
So just a comment on that.
This is also applying to lacrosse for regulation helmets?
It is. So lacrosse will have its governing body, which will have, you know, regulations about helmets as well, similar to minor hockey and the skating club. So we don't have to worry about, like, we don't offer lacrosse programs, I don't believe, or drop-in lacrosse. So they have governing bodies that take care of that for us.
Great, okay.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone opposed to approval of the recommendation? Hearing none, that is carried. Moving on to section 3, user group refund requests for receipt, please.
Move receipt.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Commissioner Gunnerud, seconded by Commissioner Kerr. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, if I may, so I just wanted to kind of put a feeler out there and get some discussion from the commission on your philosophy or your feelings on this. Is that now we only have one formal request from the skating club for a refund, and there's a few scenarios you'll see here. Is that we've had the ice facilities open to groups and available. We are uncertain about the commission's feeling in terms of offering refunds to groups that could have used the facility, but they chose to because they didn't want to cross the picket line. So with this this request for refund from the skating club, we're trying to get a temperature from the commission on how they feel about other refunds potentially coming forward for groups that that could have used a facility but chose not to.
Thank you, Mr. Leach. I think the position I'd like to take is just to receive the report, and if there is a member account of the commission that wishes to do a subsequent to either approve the refund, approve all refunds, or not approve refunds, or defer to the next meeting, I'll take that into consideration. So anything further on receipt? Mr. Gunnerud.
Well, this is only down as for receipt.
Yep.
Not down for any recommendations. If in the options, I would support number 2 if this is what we're doing.
Well, right now I'm just asking for receipt, and then I'll call if anybody wishes a subsequent.
Okay.
So on receipt, is anyone opposed? That is carried. And does the commission want to entertain any subsequent action?
Mr. Chair?
Let's go to, I'm going to go to Commissioner Gunnerud because he was sort of up first from the last discussion. Then I'll come to you, Commissioner Lee.
Under the options on page 2, I would prefer option number 2, that refund requests be approved for all user groups whose bookings were affected by the USW strike.
Second.
And discussion.
My reasoning for that would be it's not going to break the bank. A total for all user groups being around $2,300.
Okay, Commissioner Lee?
I was going to suggest, because I didn't know what the fallout from this might be, how many user groups will be asking for refunds, what it's going to cost us. I was going to defer this to the next meeting for a report from staff on total cost implications before we make a decision.
Okay, well, we do have a motion that has been moved, seconded for the commission's consideration.
But we could defer this motion to the next meeting for some more staff information
Mr. Chair,
on
so
potential impacts.
Sure. So, Mr. Chair, if I could, we've tried to anticipate what some of the requests may be. So I'm not certain we would have anything further if we deferred this. We've trying to, figured out who would have been affected by it. A lot of the bookings were canceled, so because of the strike, so they had never paid, so they don't have to have a refund. So as Commissioner Gunnerud mentioned, the total, whatever it may be, isn't going to break the bank. It's not huge, but I'm not sure we'd have any further numbers for you if we deferred this.
So what about the storm contract?
Yes, that is the one that stands out for certain.
Because are we going to have to forego our, our revenue from the storm contract over this, or and what's that going to cost us?
So, as you know, the storm generates a lot of activity, a lot of interest, maybe some revenue for their group, but they're not a real revenue generator for the regional district. We subsidize, if you will, their ice time. We have a specific rate for them that's lower than the rest. We don't get ticket revenue. We don't get alcohol revenue. So we're not hugely affected by that. It's just the ice time that they pay us for, and they haven't been using the ice time. So I don't think, again, the numbers there are big, and we're not missing out on a ton of revenue.
Okay. All right.
Commissioner Kerr, then Evans.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I support this motion. I think we're in the midst of a PR campaign that, honestly, I don't think we're winning. So the negative effect of turning this down would be far worse. than and supporting it. Yeah, I think it's, and we certainly don't need the user groups. I mean, I know some of them have attended the picket line and have lined themselves with them, but that's not necessarily the whole public. And I think there's a lot of the public that would support this. So I think it makes a lot of sense.
Commissioner Evans?
Yeah, thank you. Excuse me. I feel the same way. I don't. When I weigh this out, I think we have more to lose than we have to gain if we don't move with the motion on the floor. So I think it is the direction to go. The only thing that concerns me is this was a writing requesting the refund. Just wondering through the chair to staff, how would we be then notifying everybody that we would be giving a refund, or would we be initiating it? Whereas the letter, they initiated that. I'm just trying to understand what the process would be.
So my understanding is from the motion from Commissioner Gunnerud, and that has been seconded, should this pass, that would be direction to staff to calculate the refund for the user groups, notify them, and move forward with it. Mr.
Yeah.
Leach?
Okay.
Mr. Leach? Mr. Leach?
Yeah, I agree. And I think that's a good PR move as well for us to get ahead of it, approach them and offer them the refunds.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Commissioner Kerr?
Totally agree. Oh,
Okay.
sorry, I'll take my hand down.
Thank you. And I'll just make a comment just on the statement of who's winning. And I think in the situation that we have all been enduring, whether it's the user groups or the USW or the Strathcona Gardens or the regional district, nobody is winning. This is a very unfortunate circumstance and situation. And I think for the sake of our organization and our advocacy for health and recreation and sport, we would all like to see a quick resolution to the ongoing issues, but certainly there are no winners in the current situation. So with that, I'll call the question on the motion. Is anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to section 4, the 2022 Strathcona Gardens calendar for receipt.
Move receipt.
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion is carried to approve the 2022 Strathcona Gardens Commission calendar.
So moved.
Move me.
Second.
And discussion? And anyone opposed? Motion is carried. Section 5, Campbell River Storm Internet access for receipt.
Move receipt. Second.
Okay, Commissioner Lee and seconded by Commissioner Gunnerud. Any discussion on receipt? And on receipt, is anyone opposed? That is carried. And any subsequent from members of the commission?
I just have a comment. With moving forward with this request and the USW presently on strike, should we watch carefully how we proceed with requests like this? I.e. spending the dollar?
Sure. I mean, we certainly can. I think we had this request maybe before the union went on strike or close to it. And I'm not certain Shaw's position too about crossing the picket line and doing work. So I don't know how quickly they would do any activity in here. So what we're looking at here is basically making an investment and looking to, we've provided some options, but looking to recoup the cost of this through our new negotiations in the next storm license agreement.
Thank you, Mr. Leach. And I guess what I would see from this is that similar to the lighting improvements that we approved earlier, if a contractor did want to come in and do the work, they could. But I would see that the internet servicing to the broadcasting booth would be something that would be in the interest of the Strathcona Gardens to cover the costs on, as that is used by multiple user groups. But the connections to the storm dressing room could be more, and their office could be more tied in with the discussions going forward with the contract renewal.
I would agree with that wholly, Chair.
Mr. Leach, would you need more formal direction, or?
Yeah, I think I was hoping for one of the options to be moved. You know, and from our perspective, we thought what would be reasonable is make the investment and then incorporate the cost of this investment into the storm contract.
So move option A.
So in option A, after regional district, could we include for office and dressing room facilities?
I think it's implicit there. So you know, we're trying to satisfy the request of the storm. We're happy to do that. Outline to the commission that there's some capital cost investment in it, and then our intention would be to recoup those through the license agreement.
Yeah.
Mr. Leach, just following up on Commissioner Gunnerud's, but can we separate the broadcast booth from that?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Okay. And is that the intent of your direction, Commissioner Gunnerud?
Correct.
Any further discussion from the commission? Anyone opposed? That is carried. Moving on to section 6, the storm license agreement for receipt.
I receive.
Second.
Discussion? Anything further, Mr. Leach?
No, I think this was something we chatted about maybe in December or November, and the storm license is going to expire, and just getting direction from commission to engage with them on some discussions.
Okay. So on receipt, is anyone opposed? That is carried. And B for the negotiation. Thank you. And
Second.
seconder, thank you. Commissioner Evans moved and seconded by Commissioner Grunnerud. And just to confirm, because I haven't got it open here, this is for a 2-year with a 3rd-year option. Is that correct?
Are you talking about the existing contract or the next one?
The next one.
The next one can be whatever we choose. I'm not sure what the storm's interest is, but once we engage them, we'll certainly come back. I don't know if they're looking for 2 in an option, 3, 4, 5. So I'm not certain at this point.
So you don't need direction from us at this point? You'll bring that back?
No, I'll bring it back.
Okay. So then nothing further required at this point. Correspondence, she received all the correspondence.
Move 1 to 3.
Second.
Receipt.
Seconded by Commissioner Evans. Any discussion? And again, sort of as I said earlier, we have all been receiving additional correspondence by various media. Would continue to ask that those be continued to be directed to Mr. Leach, copied to Ms. Gage, and copied to myself as chair. And we will do our best to endeavor that responses are also copied to members of the commission so that everybody is informed as to what has transpired and what information has been passed forward. So is anyone opposed on receipt of the correspondence? That is carried. And where are we now? So we have a motion to move into closed session.
Move
moved.
the recommendation from the CAO be received.
Second.
Discussion? And anyone opposed? That is carried. So, Mr. Yates?
Move that a closed session be held under 91, under the subsections of the community charter listed in recommendation B, 91C and O of the community charter.
Second.
Second.
Any discussion? Anyone opposed? We will move to closed session. Mr. Leach, do we need to sign out and sign back in, or Mr. Yates?
Mr. Chairman, yes, a motion to terminate this meeting, and then you would sign into the closed session as a separate meeting.
Okay, Edith,
Move
could
termination.
could someone send me a link? Because I can't get linked.
Same with me. If I could have that sent again, that would be great.
Yeah.
We have a motion to terminate, and it's been seconded. Anyone opposed? That is carried. We'll see you in a minute or two.